I wanted to ask you a little bit about some of your time at the Air Force Space Command. Can you tell me a little bit about your experiences there?
Well, I spent 29 years as a U.S. Air Force officer, a very exciting career. The time goes awfully quickly, I can tell you. I mean, it just seems like just yesterday I was a lieutenant, and then I was about ready to retire as a brigadier general. But the military of the United States is, I think a lot of people know, actually spends more money on space activities, not a lot more, but a bit more than than NASA does. But a lot of the very exciting technologies have come out of there. But during my time in the Air Force, we did some pretty fun stuff. Among other things, I worked on the Missile Defense Technology Program about 20 years ago. We sent a probe to the moon called Clementine. Was the first indication there was ice there, which an Ames probe actually confirmed, the L-Cross probe a few years ago. Very exciting. We also did a program called the DCX Delta Clipper, which was the first demonstration of a truly reusable rocket that landed like Buck Rogers intended. You know, it goes up, comes down, and lands just like the Mars Science Lab is going to land on Mars here in a few days. Very exciting effort. But I stayed in the space program. I was involved in negotiations in Geneva at the height of the Cold War on the Star Wars program. Worked as Air Force Space Command as a wing commander, the 50th Space Wing in the mid-90s. I owned much of the U.S. Starfleet. I had about 80 satellites, including the Global Positioning System, that were under my control. That's really a cool job. I worked in the Pentagon several times, worked at the White House twice. And the last job I had was the head of, the way to describe it is I was in charge of all new things the Air Force Space Command was doing that weren't funded. But we worked closely with DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. And one of the things that we did a lot of work with was beginning the private sector space launch development. Elon Musk was one of our first partners with SpaceX over a decade ago. So it was kind of an interesting area that to get that started. So it was a great career. I strongly urge people to go do space stuff with the military.
Tell us a little bit more about what's going to be happening with the Mars Science Laboratory. Obviously, that's going to be in just a few days on August 5th. And what is the atmosphere over at Ames right now?
Well, Mars Science Lab, or the Curiosity Rover, is the most sophisticated instrument I think we've ever put in space. It is designed to be the next step in understanding if there's life on Mars. And that's a really critical science question. I think it may be the most fundamental science question. Now, whether the Mars Science Lab takes data that the scientists can show there's life there or not, it will show us a lot more about it. Before we send people there, and remember that the whole purpose of not just this administration, but every previous administration is that Mars is our ultimate goal. And I think that the ultimate goal is going to have people permanently living on that planet. But until we send people there, we're going to have to find out whether there's life. In fact, I like to say that this is a nonpartisan issue, because if you're on the left wing of politics, you're worried about us killing it. If you're on the right wing, you're worried about it killing us. So regardless, before we do much more with Mars, scientifically interesting or not, we need to figure out, is there life there? And this is our next step. Now, it's a very ambitious program. It's, the really critical time is the so-called 7 minutes of terror as it enters the atmosphere. But we're confident. We've done all of the homework. Ames played a major role in this, for example. We developed the heat shield material, the same material that SpaceX uses. Pica is what the heat shield material on the Mars Science Lab is. We've worked with Langley Research Center to put sensors in it so we can understand better, as we build even bigger systems, how to enter the Martian atmosphere. One of the primary experiments, Kemen, the principal investigator, works at Ames. So really a whole lot of exciting things. The software that they're going to use to control the Mars Science Lab was largely developed at Ames. And in fact, maybe most important of all, the parachute that we really rely on, it was tested in our large wind tunnels. So just like a lot of the other centers, this is not just a Mars community mission. This is a NASA mission and really a global mission.
Well, what's the most important thing that people need to know about NASA Ames right now?
Well, Ames is one of 10 centers, but we're in Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley is in us. We've always been a leader in doing innovative things. We think we're kind of out on the forefront. We get in trouble occasionally for maybe being a little bit too far out there, but our job is to continue to be innovative, to be on the frontiers of technology. A couple of the new things we're looking at is synthetic biology and quantum computing. Those are exciting new technologies. So it's our job is to continue to be out there and sort of in front of the rest of the agency on a lot of some of these really exciting future technologies.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Delighted.